Thank you, Swati. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We just spoke about war, and in the time of wars, it is important to actually develop our defense capabilities, and that's going to be our focus this afternoon as far as this very important session is concerned. Aatma or self-reliance in defense. I want to start by asking you, Mr. Puneet, where do we really stand? Prime Minister has spoken about being Aatma, especially in defense, many a times. Over the last few years, there has been a lot of policy push from the budget side as well. We have seen how spending in defense has gone up. So after all of that effort, where do we stand in Atmanirbharta in defense sector?
First of all, thank you so much for having me over. Thanks to Times Now, and thank you, Hena, for having us and participate in this summit. I think this question is a very relevant question, and it's becoming more and more relevant because of the way world is today. You look at different parts of the world, and we just, the session before that, before mine was, Mr. Tiwari was talking about what's happening in West Asia, and I think West Asia is just one war. We know that there's so many of them happening around the world, and what happens is when one starts, we stop. Actually, prime time takes over that particular war, and we are not even looking at what's happening, which was going on like in Russia and Ukraine, for example, or there are so many of them, maybe 7 or 10 wars happening. So the importance of having companies in any country actually today, making indigenous products has become far more important than it was maybe even 10 years ago. Atmanirbhar in defense is something which basically is a slogan which started, say, more than 10, 15 years ago by Prime Minister Modi. And it has picked up steam in the last 5, 7 years. But I think generally speaking, we are, I would say, like you say, glass half full, half empty. So I think we have still a lot of journey to cover. We have crossed quite a bit of journey. So we are somewhere in between. I think a lot of our products are indigenous now. Like we saw in Operation Sindoor, and kudos to our armed forces, what we did with our indigenous equipment. Actually, that war the mini war put our industry on the global map. And I personally feel that was a turning point. We actually demonstrated products that were battle proven. And that actually has created a lot of confidence for companies like us. When we used to go and talk about our products, now we don't need to do that. Everybody knows India can do it. So I think that was a turning point. But still, I think we have a lot of areas where we can kind of improve upon in terms of innovation, in terms of doing R&D and having our own capabilities built in the country. So that's, I think, where we stand right now.
Interesting. You say that, of course, a lot has been done. A lot more needs to be done. There are miles to go, they say, before we sleep. But then if I would want to ask you about that one single, most transformative policy change that you think government has really brought in as far as the defense sector is concerned, that has really catapulted the country towards greater self-reliance in defense?
I think more than policies, it is the way you conduct or you kind of ensure that the policies are followed. I mean, what I meant to say is, one is a policy, and is the policy actually bringing the results that the policy was made for? And that is something which, what you say, walk the talk. I think that is something this government is doing very well, I must say. I must compliment the government for that. When we look at, what we have in defense is the defense acquisition procedures which come out every few years. And in that, the policies are written on how the armed forces will procure what they will procure. So I think those were happening before also, but the real push has started, and I personally feel that overall the momentum from the perspective of believing in the indigenous products has changed. When that changes, you will automatically see that there would be so much demand, and our end customers, which are the armed forces, would like to buy only indigenous. They would
Why
not.
do you think that change has come in? Why do you think this belief, this confidence suddenly has come into the indigenous capabilities?
I think we were able to, as I said in my earlier reply, we were able to prove in terms of the quality of what we were making is as good, if not better than what the world was supplying before. Most of our products that go in the market, we are basically, ever since we started in this domain, have been replacing imports. And initially we had issues, we had challenges. I remember the first time where we were flying on the Su-30 and I was told that our product had an issue actually. But the pilots that flew that product and they came out, they had to take a call whether they take another sortie or let it be. I salute those 3 pilots who did that sortie and they said, no, we must give this company another chance. Now, these are the real stories of our soldiers on ground who take pride. I take pride in their confidence to develop indigenous capabilities. And these are the examples. And for us, that was a turning point because one platform led to the other. Today, we are flying on pretty much all the platforms that are, in the Air Force use Samtel products. And we are very proud of that. We have a JV with HAL, which provides these products to the armed forces. And I think, I personally feel ultimately it is the conviction of the soldier that he is more proud of using a product which is as good as the foreign product that he was using before. And that's the turning point.
Okay. I would like to talk to you about the challenges that still exist. But before that, you've had a global start. You were studying in the US, working with Corning in the United States of America. I want to first ask you, what really motivated you to come back and build Samtel Avionics, which has now become a big player in India's defense ecosystem?
It's a good question, I think what happened was that I was not sure what I would do after I finished college, and I started working in the US. And, I come from an entrepreneur family, by the way. Samtel is a 50-year-old company. We used to earlier make picture tubes, and we started making defense equipment about 12, 14 years back in terms of manufacturing. I think the turning point was basically, this is a real story. I was at an air show, and I've said this story before as well, I think. But I was at an air show, and I saw fighter jets flying, and I knew that, this is where I belong. This just rush in my body when I heard those fighters. I thought I belong here. It just came from within. I've never looked back after that. We had an opportunity during Prime Minister Vajpayee's regime. Actually, the doors for private sector were opened. Just happened so I was graduating from college around the same time, and India was, growing in every way possible. And that's where this, innovation kind of opportunity came our way through DRDO, which took a while to develop, and then it came into a real company, and rest is history. I truly believe India's time is next 1 to 2 decades, if not more, belong to India. They belong to companies like ours, because when you sell your technology to the world, when you make in India for the world, is when you take the India flag to the world. And I feel very proud in each and every employee, each and every partner which has believed in us over the last 15 years of this journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Fantastic. Now, also to be able to fully realize the potential of Indian companies, of companies like yours in the defense sector, what are the challenges that still persist that you think the government must address immediately? And also, we're still dependent on external technology. So how can we really bridge that gap? How is Samtel really looking to bridge that gap that still exists?
I think this is a real concern, actually. If you really look at what our Chief of Defense Staff was saying a few months back, RM has been saying, we've heard PM talking about it many times. So it comes right from the top, and it is a reality to the lowest level. A lot of our products, even in today's reality, is that in today's defense ecosystem, are not necessarily developed in India. We might be making in India in terms of transfer of technology and build to print. But I think what really needs to be done is pushing the innovation index. Now, just to give you some numbers, we are at about 0.2% of our GDP in terms of innovation, what we spend on innovation in our country. Globally, this number is upward of 5%. And this 5% is mostly from countries which are already developed. So this is a huge gap. And actually, if I go beyond defense and look at any sector, another area, by the way, we are getting into is space technology. And we are looking at miniature satellites and looking at what we want to do over there from low Earth orbit and stuff. Till we don't push the efforts that companies are making on developing technologies in the country, and we have good examples. We have a lot of startups. We have a lot of other stories in bigger companies who are doing this. But still a long way to go. If you really want to have a Viksit Bharat 2047, I think if we are not coming up in a big way on the innovation index, we would not really be truly Viksit. We will be still dependent. So if you truly ask me, if you really want to be Atmanirbhar, the innovation aspect, the R&D aspect has to be pushed much harder. We need to develop products in the country for the world, not just make in India, but develop in India.
But why is it not happening? Why are we still seeing that as a big challenge when we know where the problem really lies?
If you want me to be honest, government sectors have been doing this. DRDO has been developing a lot of technologies, and a lot of technologies that went and showcased excellence performance during Operation Sindoor were developed in India. I think when you look at the overall ecosystem, and there's so much to do, private sector actually has to come up and do more than what they are doing. And government sector probably needs to privatize more than what they are doing. And they are moving in that direction. Now, why I say that, there is a reason behind it. When you actually have a project which is funded and your revenue depends on the success of that project, then you would put your heart, soul, and money, everything you have, into making that project a success. Whereas if you just get a technology from an overseas player, you get a contract and you deliver, you will not do that. So I think the examples where we are actually giving more, we have IDEX and we have programs which are doing that. But I think we need more of such examples. Now, coming to the realistic situation on ground, I personally feel we need the innovation, or R&D also takes a lot of patience and hard work. We can't be really doing shortcuts. It is a journey of patience and perseverance, and it's a tough journey. Whereas if you do technology transfer, build to print, all those things, revenue is faster, but the technology is still imported. So if you want to walk the path, which is slightly more difficult walk, I think that's where, you have to take a call. We took this call. We didn't have revenue for 7-8 years. We were just investing. And a lot of people said that, are we even doing something which will lead to a real company in terms of revenue or not? But we had the belief in ourselves. And I think that belief, that conviction, and that whole attitude of being patient is what will change the way we do what we do in terms of developing technologies.
Interesting. You earlier mentioned about Operation Sindoor, and during Operation Sindoor, we did see deployment of several indigenously developed electronics and avionics systems. I want to ask you, how can operationally proven systems such as what we saw during Operation Sindoor be leveraged to actually build credibility in global markets?
I think, we truly are at a cusp where, if you look at the world, there is a lot of struggle in terms of what capabilities are there and what is the reality on ground in terms of manpower, in terms of resources, in terms of the challenges they have. I was talking to a CEO in a big company of Europe, a defense company, and they were talking about defense budgets going up, but they're not able to actually meet the demand in terms of delivery. This is where the opportunity for Indian industry is. I think this is our time. And if I really kind of look at what lies in front of us, what we prove in terms of products actually is one part of it. But what happened was that there is also a lot of belief in what we did in Operation Sindoor with our products, what we did with Chandrayaan with our satellite. The whole ecosystem now believes not only can India develop products, it can develop products which are probably much cheaper than what it cost to develop them in Europe and US, they are as good, if not better, with modern technology, AI, and all those modern stuff that goes into the products of such high technology. But also, we have such a big manpower, in knowledge manpower that is available. We have proven ourselves in the IT industry in making softwares, and defense industry, high technology industry like satellites. This is the next generation of growth which will actually happen in this country. And we just need to continue following that path and truly believe in it.
Okay. You briefly mentioned about, entering the space sector as well. Can you shed more light on that? What kind of plans do you have? What are the targets really, say, over the next 5 years in space?
Yeah, so actually, space is a sector which is very, very interesting because mostly you hear about Elon Musk and low Earth orbit satellites. But actually what is happening is that India is evolving in a big way. And post Chandrayaan, I think the confidence in ourselves as Indians has gone up. And also the world is looking at us for, collaboration with various kind of opportunities. As far as Samtel is concerned, we are looking at, miniature satellites, looking at a concept like, Internet of Things that can go on that. We have to look at, basically various applications can be put on a satellite. And what happens is there are still a lot of areas in the world which don't get enough signals. They're not well connected. So what can satellite do is it can connect those parts, and the signals that are thrown, the beams that come and go from the satellite, they can be used to kind of make the world a more connected place. And that is what actually satellites can do. And that is what we are going to do in terms of different applications, different industries. Defense, of course, would be at the heart of it as well. But there are many more opportunities that lie in front of us in space area.
Okay. If I can also talk to you a little bit about your current order book and how much do you think that is now going to be focusing on space and other sectors that you're in right now?
So actually, I was about 7 months back talking about 1,000 crore order book. We have now achieved that. We will be closing at about 1,000 crores by end of this financial year. And we are looking at doubling in terms of our growth, in terms of revenue, profitability. And I think we are on our way to actually be one of the defense unicorns in the next year and a half. So we would be going to the markets next year as well. So I think that is something that is on our way. And I think we truly believe that we are walking exactly as per the plan, and not walking, actually running as per the plan. And we are on our way to achieve that. So yeah, and actually environment is also enabling us to do that. A lot of things that were pushed ahead have been moving to the, towards left, in the sense, if you were looking at something which will come to revenue 2 years from now, has started happening this year itself. It's just the environment is also helping us.
Okay. What kind of fundraising plans you have now, since you've also already given us a hint?
Yeah, so we have already raised funds last year. We raised about 200 plus crores that are getting used for the areas like space, and in fact we are also going into drones and UAV area, which is another very fascinating area for us. But besides that, we would probably now go for a very smaller round before we go to an IPO. IPO would obviously, the market will tell us. I mean, people sitting in this room and people sitting and hearing us in their rooms on what blessings they will give our company in terms of what we will raise.
So IPO by the end of this year or next year?
I think 27, 28, next financial year.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
One last question. Looking ahead, what is your vision for India becoming a global superpower in defense avionics, space and drone technologies? And what role do you really see Samtel playing in this journey?
I truly feel that we are at a point where Indian companies have to now go global, make a dent. And I truly believe 5-7 years from now, companies like, we hear names like Honeywell, Rockwell Collins, Lockheed Martins. I mean, we have to start hearing more Indian names. I truly believe that we are on that path. We have already started getting a lot of export business. That means that the confidence of using our product vis-a-vis the opportunities that the potential customers had from buying from elsewhere has started to move. So I truly believe we would be already in a situation couple of years from now where we have a very, very big global order book. We have a global benchmark, which we have already kind of crossed. And I believe we'll be a truly global defense and aerospace, including space, MNC, which will make India proud and put India on the global map.
Fantastic. We wish you good luck for your plans for the future. Thank you very much, Mr. Puneet Kaura. Wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you, Hena. Thank you so much.